Yes! Hello, world! Your sisters are here, ready, open, and as fabulous as possible. These are your sweets, Makeda
and Melanie.
And you are now tuned into Girl.
Girl, what?
Now, before we begin, we'd like to start our show with the feature. And our feature today is the Wine of the Day. We have
Moscato. Deliciously sweet.
Yummy. This is awesome. So, now that we're having our little wine and bubbly, we're ready to begin. But you know what? I want to talk about something that's breaking news. Did you know about that congressional race in District 6 in Georgia?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, the result seems to be in, and that seat will remain Republican. I know. Karen Handel for Congress. She has officially won that seat. The Republicans have retained control of that race, and I guess we'll see what that means for 2018.
Okay, so wait, hold on. Isn't Atlanta pretty much almost predominantly black?
That's the perception, but the reality is from what I'm hearing on the streets is that you have a lot of actual real monetary power in non-African American hands. It's something that people don't talk about a lot. Again, I remember in the 90s, everyone was moving to Atlanta. That was the spot. That was where, any educated African American can move to and prosper. And that's still the case today, but not as much. And so, while it's a downer, I think it's just another eye-opening experience that, some people should pay attention to. Really, really pay attention to.
I mean, I just don't understand, especially with everything that's going on in the world with our great president. Republican?
I know. And, politics is a very slippery slope. In that you have a lot of people that feels I think we're probably going to be preaching to the choir when we say we're a little disheartened with last year's elections, and it's even more disheartening with how things are going. The state of affairs, especially for, if you haven't figured it out, we're black.
Yeah, we're black.
Well, sometimes people don't really understand or wouldn't make that assumption right away. But yes, and so I'm looking at things from the perspective is how is our government helping our communities? Now, how are they helping our communities in general? And right now, we're in a very unsecure time. Folks that are either, the 1%ers are always doing well. And so how does that trickle down to the rest of us?
Especially the ones that's not going to have welfare anymore.
Yeah. Oh,
food stamps.
If you didn't know, now you need to know and pay attention. The food stamp program, which, by the way, it's not predominantly African Americans that are recipients of it. It is poor. It is those that are not being paid the living wage, that need subsidies, that are balancing their lives out with health programs and food programs. Yeah, that's about to be snatched in a minute.
Okay, so I wonder if they're going to start using them the right way. So, me being an educator, when I don't work in the summer, can I get some food stamps?
Now, probably not. But that would probably be a good question for a professional in that industry. We have to write that down. That's for next show.
Yeah, we might need somebody. Because listen, I think teachers need some food stamps in the summer because, you know, we have to really budget in the summer.
And if you didn't know, Melanie is an educator.
One of the many things, but yes. Educator first. However, food stamps, you know, I think, me personally, I think food stamps should be used for people, and this is just my opinion. Don't get mad. Should be used for people that work and maybe have lost their jobs and they're trying to find a job. Or an educator.
Yes.
That in the summertime, unless we're blessed to have, you know, another job or a hustle, which many of us have a hustle, it would help to have food stamps.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
And I shouldn't have to have 50 kids to get them.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know, I think, you know, the way that 45 is working the system.
Oh,
he's
lovely
really
45.
You know, our lovely 45.
Lovely 45.
He's doing a lot more harm than good, but, you know, at the same time, maybe it's something that is motivating. And I try to look at things on a positive note, and what can we say? Right now, there's a Russia investigation, there's, you know, all types of other things that are, you know, happening in DC that could really change the landscape and, you know, our positioning, our international, our foreign policy, you know, positions. And
wait a minute, who during the election, what candidate won Michigan? Was it Trump or Hillary?
I want to say Donald Trump probably did.
Let's see, because I'm reading here that Trump's food stamp cuts have a huge impact on West Michigan. So that's interesting. Because I was having this conversation, and it seems as though a lot of the voters that voted for him are now starting to be affected by a lot of his changes.
Well, it's not surprising. You know, Donald Trump really campaigned on a very negative note on, you know, he catered to people's fears, and, you know, unfortunately, a lot of people came out to vote because of things that, you know, closeted racists and bigots gravitated to.
And white,
you know, they you know, the white supremacy, that whole, you know, let's kick out Muslims, let's build a wall, and all of those different stances. Like, he catered to a lot of fears, and it's unfortunate. And now we're seeing all of that stuff going into fruition, which reminds me, and it takes me back to when former President Obama ran, and how he legislated and worked his entire 2 terms, and he had to be so perfect. Him and the First Lady had to be so perfect, and yet we have someone has so many flaws and so many issues, and historically has done so many things
and is
to
a
benefit
liar.
to benefit himself and his family, and he has been able to attain the highest office in the world. And
he is proposing, y'all ready for this number? He is proposing a cut of $193 billion from the food stamp program, according to the Associated Press.
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
That's crazy.
So either people going to have to go to work, or they're going to be homeless. And our poor children, what is that going to mean for them?
That things are going to be dire unless you are really wealthy, and it doesn't matter. Working class families, working poor are going to be even more dire. They're going to be in a worse situation.
Okay, so this
I know
this
it's
is depressing.
let's go on to something else.
Let's talk about your weekend. Let's talk about your weekend. How about that?
I am now a member of the illustrious, sophisticated, historical, so lovely organization Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I'm so excited. I won't lie. I mean, yes, we definitely have switched topics here, but let me just say how appreciative and how much this organization has just made such a positive impact in my life historically. I'm a first generation U.S. citizen, and no one in my family knows anything about this organization. I just so happen to always be the person that I have been, where I've been all about service or like doing and getting involved in so many things. And in high school, I'll never forget my flagette sponsor,
Miss
Bailey, introduced me to the organization formally.
You know what? We should have Miss Bailey on our show.
We should.
And Miss Robinson.
So, oh my gosh, it's just been a really, really amazing experience to kind of see an organization, never think that opportunity would even present itself, and then it does, and I am 3 days in, baby.
3 days in.
And then, the sisterhood. It's the sisterhood and bond. What really opened it up for me was working on different campaigns throughout the country, and I'm the only person of color or, one of a few females out on the campaign trail, and like really no one to like be friends with and do any type of giving back to the community of the city or state that I was in. And I said, one day, if it presents itself, I am going to take advantage of it. And I really didn't see that. I didn't really think it was actually going to ever happen. I never did. And
stick with God.
And then, just started to believe.
That's right.
And I said, it is, what also made me decide to go that way is that we're in a society where bad behavior is being rewarded.
Yes. And
organizations that are about service, has social elements, and is about, national and international goodwill, they're almost being extinct. They're almost being tried. And unfortunately, it feels like more and more people are getting less and less educated.
Children have less examples of positivity from our culture.
Exactly.
Especially.
I mean, let Mel tell it. She comes from a long line of educated African Americans that's done remarkable things.
Alpha Kappa Alpha
something, a lot of Alpha Kappa Alpha women. I am the first, to my knowledge, in my family that's ever gone to college. And I almost missed that. I started college, I ended, I went into a career in entertainment and politics. And then when the opportunity opened up itself, I went back to school. And then I was like, oh my goodness, now I think I am meeting the criteria, which is having a college degree to pursue this as an adult. And I think it's made it even more impactful for me today, because I can honestly say maybe if I had become a member 20 years ago, I wouldn't be active today, or I wouldn't see like, oh, For real, this is a
which
lifetime.
leads into the next thing that I wanted to talk about: sisterhood.
Sisterhood.
What is sisterhood? And it's interesting because the thought crossed my mind as I was scrolling through my timeline today. Black women are doing the damn thing.
Yes,
okay?
We are.
And part of the reason why I feel we are soaring is because there is this underlying initiative now of women empowerment, Black women empowerment.
Yeah.
More so than it is with Black brothers.
I would agree.
And sisterhood. What is sisterhood? Does it take a sorority? Is it the sorority that creates sisterhood? Or is it, what is sisterhood?
I think there's a foundation, and when you understand some of these organizations' history and like what their hopes and desires to accomplish, or what they're trying to accomplish, I think it creates that. It puts in some type of spiritual form what they're trying to do.
Is a sorority a gang? Is it like a cult?
Oh, absolutely not. Not at all. I mean,
can you only be a sister if you're in a sorority?
No.
What is sisterhood?
I know what sisterhood is for me. I mean, coming from a family, a pretty large family where I have a number of brothers and sisters, it's definitely not necessarily who you were, the family that you were born into that makes a sisterhood. It is.
I can attest to
it.
It
is meeting and connecting with women that have the shared experiences or shared foundations, or like you have the same type goals that you all want to accomplish. What's the difference between, athletes? Athletes, that can look like some type of, cult. I've heard, people refer to the entertainment industry as cult-ish. At the end of the day, it's people that has a shared experience, shared industry that connects. And with sororities, it's that underlining giving back to the community, service, and wanting to be leaders and bosses, and you're connecting with other leaders and bosses, and it's not everyone. It's not all bosses. You have to have a certain, standard.
I mean, I've been a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha since 1997. Spring 1997.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as you said, I come from a long line of women, my mother included. God bless her, dead. But sisterhood, I had a line of 20, and I've had friends that weren't a part of a Greek organization. You and I have been friends before you became a part of a Greek organization. And sisterhood, I think that's what's been missing in our society, especially in the Black community.
Absolutely.
I think for a long time, there was a period when we just tear each other down and disrespect each other, which is a part of the reason why I thought this show would be like awesome.
I know.
To do, because it's so needed. And I always come back to the fact that children, I think, need, in this day and age, they don't have any positive images how we did when we were growing up. And it's needed. Like, we have to lean on each other, especially with everything that's going on in the world. Like,
agreed.
I I'm an only child. I don't have any siblings. So for me, my friends become my family. And I connect more with my friends in most cases than I do my family. But sisterhood is one of those things. It's like it's got to be something in you that's open to it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of Black women are not necessarily willing to be vulnerable to build a sisterhood. And I think that wall that is up and that wall that society kind of perpetuates is a part of the problem.
Absolutely. And you know what? What I can say going through this experience is that you meet a different type of woman. Like it's been a very long time that I've connected with women that seem to cheer you on, or, you know, they actively engage in like self-preservation and togetherness.
But I think a part of that is I went through it in undergrad. So 20-year-old minds and hearts is a little different than your experience. You were dealing with maybe a lot of them are more seasoned and have had more experiences, or so their mindset is in a different place. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have some of my line sisters, like, we were close then and we're close now. Like, I can not speak to them for a year, and as soon as we speak, it's like we picked up where we left off. But you were fortunate in that way.
Well, yes and no, because my line, again, okay, so Melanie became a member in undergraduate. I became a member 3 days ago. I love saying that. And so as a graduate chapter, I realized I didn't pay it that much attention, but you have a broad age range in your line.
Yes.
Our youngest member was my youngest line sister was 23. I cannot say what our oldest was, but they were definitely in their 60s.
That's awesome.
Which was awesome. Beautiful. It was just such a mix. And so I did see how the differences between the younger and the older were. And I was right in the middle. So I kind of hung out with everyone.
Yeah.
And people probably thought I was in my 20s, even though I'm not.
No.
I need naps and all that other stuff. But you know, it was just such a wonderful experience, but it wasn't perfect.
Right.
But you just saw concerted efforts to like bond and connect. And that may or may not have been the case, you know, with your experience in undergrad, but I just saw the concerted efforts, and for many of them, maybe even the realization that they tried undergraduate, they didn't get their undergraduate, or they were like on the sidelines and looking. I could say for me, if I had, you know, stayed at one university, I definitely would have, but that it didn't turn out that way. My life
turned out the way God wanted it to.
It turned out the way God intended it to be for me.
And at the end of the day, we still sorrows.
And we still sorrows!
Still sorrows.
Oh, and you know what? I will share this with our viewers. I don't know where we are in time. I'm sure we're just gabbing and gabbing and gabbing.
It's all good.
You know, there was some apprehension in even speaking out loud of my interest still in the organization, because Melanie is something of a...
Be nice. Be nice.
I am going to be nice. The truth is, you know, Melanie is... She's not fazed by any of it. Like, you know, she comes from legacy. She's a boss innately, and not that I am not a boss. I am. And so, but it's funny, the few times we've had conversations about it, I was just like, Melanie is like so old. Like, this is so 20 years ago. And I'm sitting here like fresh face, like, I think I'm going to do it. And I've been doing this and this. And Melanie is
but it's awesome though.
And I realized that my enthusiasm rubbed off on you. Yeah. And listen, my heart literally dropped when I saw your active card. Like when you said you had your application, I was like,
I'm active, boo. All for you, boo. All for you. Don't know where it's gonna go, but I am financial. So I'm not one of them sorrows who, you talk about AKA. But where your financial card? No, I got one. I have mine, and I'm proud. I feel okay to wear my nail now.
Yes, and it's so amazing. And it's been, again, I can't really say that there has been heart-wrenching experiences through this, but it's all been worth it in the end. And, it is what it is. And so, anyway.
Patience.
We're
going to end the show on the word patience.
Yes. And so, I know we're figuring our way and navigating through this podcast and social media universe. And I just hope that you all have some patience with us while we fine tune and figure out where we want to go. But I know what we want to do. We want to have a voice for our communities, and it may not be the most, we may not have a very vast dictionary of terms to share or sound, like we're from the Ivy League. We're just regular, hardworking, educated women that
wanted to make an excuse to get together for girl time.
Exactly. That wanted to get a chance, because we're super busy. And we just want to share some things with you, some things that we've seen, and provide a voice. So on that note,
patience.
We're lending you our hearts, our ears, and our minds, and we'll end the show on a verse. Colossians 1:16.
All things have been created through Him and for Him. And for that, we know this podcast was God's design. Yeah. And this is our first recording and our first girls' night out.
Yes. This is wonderful. So, tune in next time. Thank you for your time.
You can find us on Facebook,
Instagram,
Twitter.
Woo!
Girl, what? Look us up. All social media outlets. You have been a part of our first podcast endeavor.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Good night.
Good night.